Hey, I'm Nikki and welcome to the Preppy Possum. Today I'm going to lead you step by step through a painting. All right, let's do our dragonfly today. So we're going to start by grabbing, actually let's just grab a huge brush. Let's go crazy. So grab like a 1-inch or a big brush that you have. And let's start by grabbing like a watercolor. So you can make yours like lighter or darker, but I'm probably gonna grab like a turquoise kind of blue. And I'm just gonna do like the top of the lily pad. So I'm gonna start with like a little whoop. It kind of looks like a, well, Pac-Man or a lily pad. You just wanna make sure you have like a little bit of an opening, which we can always tweak this. And then down here, you're gonna do a little droop. And then we'll do the same thing like over here on the right. We just want to do a big whoop. We'll take it, I might even take it a little bit bigger. So it's a huge lily pad because it's kind of like we're zoomed in. And then I would still use that turquoise with some pool blue and go ahead and get like all of your water. And then once you have like all the water, then I would grab, you can just kind of wipe off your extra paint a little bit and grab some dark green. It's like a really dark green. And we're gonna go ahead and fill in our whole lily pad. And I would just grab a bunch of paint and go for it. Kind of start in the middle to give your blue just a second to dry. And if you needed your dark green even darker, you could grab just a tiny bit of black with it. But I'm just gonna use like a lot of paint and go for it. And then just make sure you take it like all the way to your water. Like we can come back and, you know, make it look better on the edges, but just make sure you don't have any white anymore. All right. So we got a layer on our little lily pad to get us started. So let's go ahead and wipe that one off and chunk it in the water. So let's grab like a number 6, number 4, number 6, whichever kind of you want to paint with. And I'm going to start with like our little body. So I'm going to grab some sea foam, so like some bluish green and maybe a little bit of slimy green together. And I'm going to start with like a little kind of oval shape right up here. But you can do yours kind of anywhere. It's up to you. And you can make yours bigger or smaller. But I'm just going to start with like a little oval and kind of fill it in to get a layer on there. And then once you get that first one, then I'm going to add like 2 little segments to our body. These can be a little bit smaller. So kind of right off of there, I'm going to add the next little segment. And then I might add another one that's even a tiny bit smaller. And that'll be like the first part to our little dragonfly. Then we're going to go ahead and wipe off our extra. And let's grab kind of like the turquoise kind of blue again. You could even have a little bit of dark blue with it. And we're just going to start by adding us just one little line, because it's going to kind of be our guideline for our tail. So right off the back of that, we're just going to do a diagonal line. I'm probably going to take mine like all the way to the edge, but yours, it's okay if yours hits different. Dragonflies are long. And then once you get your little guideline, then we're going to grab some more of that turquoise with even a little bit of dark. And we're going to kind of make this into segments. We want to start a little bit bigger up here towards the body, and then they can get really small or smaller towards the end. So it's kind of like you're doing like a little rectangle kind of. And then I'm just going to do the same thing underneath it. So you're just adding a little bit to the sides. And that kind of adds the little bumps to your body. And now I'm going to start getting like a little bit smaller, because those are kind of big. So I'm just going to add a little bit towards the sides of these. All right, and then let's go ahead while we have that color and grab a little bit more of the dark blue and throw just a little bit of dark on the side of all of those little sections. We can come back with a smaller brush and hit it more in a minute, but just to get our little body started. All right, so we got a little bit of dark going on. Now let's wipe that one off. And let's grab a little bit of brown. So kind of like some milk chocolate brown. And we're gonna throw our little eyes up here at the top. So it's kind of like little milk duds. So 2 little milk duds up here at the top. And then we'll come back and add lights and darks to it. All right, so we got our eyes on there. Now let's go ahead and wipe that one off a little. And let's rinse it out or chunk it in the water. And let's grab a little bit smaller. So I'm gonna grab like a number 4 and dry it off. And I'm gonna grab some like white and light blue together. So like a really light blue. And now I'm gonna add a little glare to each little part of our body. And it's all right that it's still wet. We can always come back and brighten it up. All right, so we got the little glare going on there. Then let's wipe that one off. And let's go ahead and kind of get our water and our lily pad looking a little bit better. So let's chunk that one in the water and grab a number 6 is a good size. And we're gonna grab some more of the lighter blue with the turquoise, and we're gonna do little dashes all through our water. And whenever you're doing the dashes, kind of skip around and do them like all which ways. So kind of get crazy. Make sure you have some that go off like off the edge too, so it doesn't look like you just jumped in and started dashing. But we're just gonna do that like all through the water. Kind of skip around. So we got our water kind of dashy. So we'll see how that dries. So let's use that same brush, just kind of wipe it off. And we're gonna grab a little bit of like a limey, slimy green with a little dark. So mostly limey with a little dark. And let's go ahead and add like a little wiggly line towards the edge of our lily pad. And we're just gonna do that around the whole thing. So through your big whoop over here, and we're gonna do it over here through a little Pac-Man kind of side. Just don't go over your dragonfly. And then we'll just kind of do the same thing. All right, so now we have a little edge to our lily pad. Let's go ahead and let's thicken up the lily pad before we start on our wings, because it'll be harder to kind of thicken them up around that. So let's wipe that one off and chunk it in the water. And you could use like a number 8 size brush for this part too, but I'll probably just use the big brush again. And I'm gonna grab some more dark green with a tiny bit of black. And I'm just gonna thicken up my lily pad. So I'm gonna start with like my big areas. And it's all right that it's a little streaky, because we're actually getting ready to come back and add some dashes to it too. And you can even get like a little bit closer to your dragonfly in a few places once you get some kind of all through the big parts. So we have our lily pad kind of thickened up. So let's wipe that one off, chunk it in the water, and let's grab like a number 6 again. And we're gonna grab some more of that limey slimy green with a little dart. So mostly limey slimy. And then we're gonna do dashes like all through our lily pad. So kind of skip around because you'll get better at it. And just like we did in the water, make sure these go kind of all which ways. And we can always come back and add a few more too once we get our wings on there, but I just wanted to get a few so that we wouldn't have to avoid the wings. All right, so we got a good start to our little dashes. We can come back and dash again. Let's go ahead and wipe that one off and grab a little bit more sea foam and slimy lemmy and throw another layer on our little parts of our body because those are pretty dry. Perfect, and then we'll just wipe that one off and chunk it. And let's grab like a little bit smaller, so like a number 4, and dry it off and grab a little bit of white. And we're gonna add a little glare kind of towards the bottom part of our eyes. So towards the bottom of your little milk duds. And then we can wipe it off and grab a little bit of black, and we'll add a little glare kind of towards the top part. So kind of a light glare on the bottom and a dark glare on the top. And then once you have that, we'll wipe that one off and chunk it in the water. And let's let it dry for just a second. All right, now let's let this little thing fly. So let's grab like a number 4 and dry it off. And let's grab maybe like a light, kind of your lighter blues. It's like a pool blue, light blue. And we're gonna throw the starts of our wings. So I would start like right here where like the head part touches the middle part of your body. Kind of right in the middle there. And we're gonna throw like a big whoop. It can kind of lean up. And then we're gonna do the same thing coming down. So these are like the top little sections of our wings. I'm trying to lean back, make sure I get it big enough because our wings kind of, on this one, I'm letting them fly off of there. And then from that same point in the middle, we're gonna do like a little whoop. So kind of right here on the, for the left one, do like a little left-hand side of a rainbow to start it. And on the right, start with like a little right-hand side of a rainbow. And then we're just gonna let it kind of dip over to the right for like an inch or 2, and we'll do the same thing over here. Let it go straight kind of over for an inch or 2. And then we're just gonna let it flare back out. And since the wings go off the edge, you don't have to worry about the curvy part. And we're gonna do the same thing down here. So it's just gonna flare right back out. And then we're gonna skip down to the bottom little segment, and we're gonna throw a little line that kind of, we'll just let it go like straight all the way down here towards the bottom. And then we'll do the same thing up here. So have it hit kind of close to your wing. And this one we might see the end of the wing, so you can kind of stop it before you get to the edge. And then we're gonna do like skip right back where we started. And now we're gonna do kind of like we did above it, except these are gonna be bigger. So like a big whoop, and then a big whoop on this side. And then once you have both of those whoops, then we're just gonna curve it like back up to meet. So let's start with like this one up here. And we're just gonna let it curve and then droop it. And it just meets up with the top part. And we're gonna do the same kind of thing here. So you just want it to kind of droop a little. And I might throw this one off the edge, but we're just gonna let it droop like it's headed towards that one. All right, so we have the first part of our wings. Now, like through both of those top ones, we're just gonna do like a few big whoops, kind of like a little right-hand side of a rainbow. So kind of start from the middle. I'm just gonna whoop it over. And then I'm gonna do the same thing above it, kind of whoop it over. And then I'm gonna do like similar right down here. So do a whoop. And then I'm gonna start from the same place and throw a little bit bigger whoop. So then we have our little sections kinda. And then we'll do the same kind of thing down here. Let's just do like 3 or so like big whoops. So like up here we'll do like 3 little right-hand sides of a rainbow. And then we'll do the same thing down here. All right, so we have those little whoops. So you can use this brush or a teeny tiny brush to do the next part. I'm probably gonna use this brush, but you can always come back with I might come back with a teeny to get smaller stuff. But I'm gonna use some really light blues. And now like in between, let's start up here with this one. Like up here through this section, I'm just gonna throw some that kind of lean to the left. I'm just gonna do some little marks. And you don't want to go over these more than once. It's fine if they're like a little see-through, because you want them to be a little bit thinner than those other lines. And then right here through this next section, I'm just going to let them kind of lean to the right. And then I'll do the same kind of thing down here through the bottom section. And we'll come back with a tiny brush and add like other colors to it too, so it won't be just this color. But for right now, I'm kind of using the lighter blues. And then we'll do the same kind of thing. So we'll start with some that kind of curve into the body right here. And then we'll do some more that curve. And then we'll throw some that kind of lean up. And then we'll do something similar through our bottom wings. So I'm going to let them curve into the body. And then through the next part, I might let them kind of curve both ways. So kind of start from the middle, let some from the middle curve to the left, and then from the middle curve to the right. So you kind of have them going both ways. So then once we have those going both ways, then we'll do the same thing through that next little section. So you have some that curve to the left. And then through our last little sections, we'll just do some little whoops, like up here, kind of the right-hand side of a rainbow. And then down here, kind of like the left. But it's all right if you can't see as much of yours or if you can see more. Just kind of. All right, so now we have some streaks through all of our little sections. So now let's go back and make them like have some lights and darks. While we still have that number 4, I'm going to grab a little bit of dark blue with the turquoise, and I'm going to throw a few dark streaks in like on some of my big lines. And I use mainly blues, but if you wanted to use like purples on here, like sometimes dragonflies have that like iridescent purple kind of color too, so you could use that. And then I think we got through a lot of our big sections, we have a dark streak. Now, while we still have that same size brush, let's grab some white and light blue. We're going to throw some light, so some light sections through a few of our big pieces. So a lot of the same places we did the dark. You can add some light glares. All right, so we have a start to that. So let's wipe it off, chunk it in the water. Let's grab a teeny tiny brush. So one that doesn't have a color, like number 1. And we're gonna grab some more of those really light, like a light blue. And now we're gonna skip through and throw a few lighter streaks. Through like all of our little sections. So you don't want to hit all your marks. You're just kind of going for it, like just so we have a little bit of light. All right, so we have a little bit of light going on through most of our sections. So now let's grab a little bit of turquoise maybe. So some turquoise and pool blue. And like if you want to throw like a few of those, or I might even grab a little bit more dark and throw a few dark ones in a few places. All right, then we'll let that sit for a second and see what it looks like, where we need to add. So now let's add a little bit more to our little lily pad. So wipe off your extra, chunk it in the water, and I would grab like a, let's use a red handle, so like a number 6. And grab some slimy limey with a little bit of dark green. And just in a few places near the edge, we could kind of brighten it up. So without hitting the whole thing, because it looks good to kind of have like a lot of colors. So we'll just hit this in a few places. So you can use like a number 4, number 6, and just kind of brighten it up. And then keep the slimy limey and kind of a medium or dark green on there, and we'll add a few more dashes just because they're gonna dry a little bit darker than they go on, and if they look too light we can always kind of dash over them. But we're gonna add just a few more dashes. Just try to avoid your little dragonfly. So we have our dashes on there, so let's wipe that one off, chunk it in the water, and let's grab like a number 1 again and dry it off, and we're gonna grab some of the, like a milk chocolate kind of brown. Now we're gonna add our little, call those legs, I guess. So we're gonna start up here like probably an inch below your little milk duds and throw like a little diagonal that kind of leans out to both sides. And then once you get that, then we're gonna throw like a little piece that kind of leans back in for just half an inch. So we'll do that on both sides, just let it lean back in. And then we'll just do a tiny little like piece kind of on the end there, or like another kind of 1/4 of an inch or so. And then you can add a little dot kind of to the end. So another like little smidge and then a little dab. So now we have those first little fillers. And then I would skip down just a smidge from where we threw those, and it's kind of like we're gonna do like a little V. And it's okay that it goes over. Well, actually, we can just kind of throw our wing back over it. So for right now, I would just kind of throw your little V. Also, we'll let that dry for a sec. But we'll grab, while you have the teeny tiny, grab a little bit of white with the brown. And we're gonna add a few glares to those just so they're not too flat. Okay, so we have the start of our those little legs, and grab some more milk chocolate. And if you need to brighten up part of your milk dud eyes, you could kind of add a little bit more of that to both of those eyes. And then we'll just wipe that one off and chunk it. And let's grab like a number 4 again, and we'll grab some turquoise blue, and we'll just add a little bit of turquoise to the edge of our little body. So it's kind of like I'm doing a little L to the left-hand side of all of these little sections. And then you can even grab a little bit of turquoise and pool blue together and add just a smidge of that. I don't want to get too light, maybe definitely more turquoise than the lighter blue. Throw a little bit of that, kind of. You don't want to cover up your glare or your dark, but to kind of thicken it up. Then we can even, I think our body is looking pretty good. So let's see, let's grab that same size, so number 4, and grab maybe like a medium or dark green, just so it's a little bit darker than our body. And let's throw like a little bit of dark to the sides of our head. Pretty much just there. Then you can grab a little bit more seafoam and slimy and kind of thin it down if you need to. I like it to look a little streaky, so I'm just gonna streak it up. All right, so we got our body on there pretty good. Now let's wipe that one off and chunk it and grab a teeny tiny again, so number 1, and now we're just gonna hit our wings a little bit again because we don't want our little legs to show over the wings. So I'm just gonna kind of, it's okay if you still see a little bit of brown because you would. You just don't want them to go like, you know, all over everything. Especially like you could just go over your little big sections again. There you go. That kind of muted them a little bit. Then let's, while we have the tiny, add a few more lights. So like anywhere through your wings. It just looks good to have lights and darks. Then let's use that teeny tiny brush and we'll go ahead and sign this puppy. Now we have a dragonfly. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Be sure to check us out. We're on Cox Street in Asheboro. And be sure to check out our website, www.thepreppypossum.com.